Welcome to a discovery that changed the course of human psychology 2,000 years before psychology even existed as a science. Today, we're diving deep into the dichotomy of control, a principle so powerful that it transformed a Roman slave into one of history's most influential teachers and guided emperors through their darkest hours. By the end of this presentation, you'll have a mental framework that can eliminate up to 90% of your daily stress and anxiety. Let's begin. Here's exactly what we'll cover in the next few minutes. First, we'll examine the modern stress epidemic and why traditional approaches often fail. Second, we'll meet Epictetus and learn his revolutionary approach to mental freedom. Third, we'll apply these principles to real-world scenarios you face every day: career challenges, relationship dynamics, and health concerns. Fourth, we'll explore how modern science validates this ancient wisdom. Finally, I'll give you a 7-day challenge that can transform how you respond to stress forever. This isn't just theory, it's a practical system for taking control of your life. Let's be brutally honest about what's really happening in our minds every day. Career uncertainty keeps you up at night. Relationship conflicts drain your energy. Financial pressures create constant background anxiety. Health concerns make you question every symptom. And information overload leaves you paralyzed by choice. Here's the critical question: how much of what's stressing you out is actually under your direct control? If you're like most people, you're about to discover that you've been fighting battles you literally cannot win, while neglecting the areas where you have real power. This misallocation of mental energy is the root cause of most human suffering. Harvard Medical School published research that should fundamentally change how you think about stress. Their findings: over 90% of human suffering comes from worrying about things that are completely outside our control. Think about the implications of this for a moment. 90% of your mental distress is self-inflicted, created by trying to manage the unmanageable. You're essentially exhausting yourself by pushing against immovable walls while ignoring the doors that are wide open. What if you could redirect that wasted energy toward areas where you actually have influence? That's exactly what we're about to learn. Now meet the man who solved this problem 2 millennia ago. Epictetus was born into slavery in ancient Rome around 55 AD. Despite having no physical freedom, no wealth, and no social status, he discovered something that made him freer than his masters. His philosophical insights were so profound that they influenced Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who carried Epictetus's teachings with him on military campaigns. The core of his teaching was devastatingly simple. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Don't let this simplicity fool you. This single principle contains the power to revolutionize your entire approach to life, just as it did for emperors, slaves, and everyone in between. Here's how Epictetus divided all of existence into exactly 2 categories. First, what we can control, shown in green. This includes our thoughts and judgments, our attitudes and responses, our choices and actions, and our values and goals. Notice something important. All of these are internal processes. They happen inside your mind and are completely under your jurisdiction. Second, what we cannot control, shown in red. This includes other people's words and actions, past events and future outcomes, natural disasters and accidents, and even our own bodies and health. Here's the life-changing insight. When you try to control what you cannot control, you become its slave. When you focus exclusively on what you can control, you become truly free. This distinction is the difference between living as a victim of circumstances and becoming the architect of your own experience. Let's apply this to your career, where many people experience their greatest stress. The old way of thinking focuses on outcomes you can't guarantee, whether you'll get promoted, how your boss perceives you, or what opportunities will arise. This approach creates anxiety because you're constantly trying to control variables that are fundamentally outside your influence. The Stoic approach flips this entirely. You cannot control your boss's decisions, company politics, or economic conditions. These are external factors influenced by countless variables beyond your reach. But you can control the quality of your work, your professional relationships, and your skill development. Focus your energy on becoming undeniably competent in what you can control and let the results follow naturally. Relationships are another area where the dichotomy of control creates profound shifts. The old way involves trying to change other people's behavior, manipulating situations to get desired responses, and becoming anxious when people don't react as you expect. This approach guarantees frustration because you're attempting to control autonomous human beings. The Stoic way recognizes that you cannot control how others feel about you, their choices, or their emotional responses. These belong to them entirely. What you can control is how you show up in relationships, your communication style, and your own emotional reactions. Be the best partner, friend, or family member you can be, without attachment to others' responses. This paradoxically often improves relationships while eliminating the anxiety that comes from trying to control others. Health and aging present unique challenges for applying the dichotomy of control. The old mindset involves constant worry about diseases you might get, obsessing over factors you can't change, and living in fear of mortality. This creates a state of chronic stress that actually harms your health. The Stoic approach acknowledges what you cannot control: your genetic predispositions, potential accidents, and the natural aging process. Worrying about these serves no productive purpose and often becomes self-defeating. Instead, invest your energy in what you can control: regular exercise, proper nutrition, medical checkups, and mental health practices. This shift from fear-based worry to proactive action not only improves your actual health outcomes, but eliminates the psychological suffering that comes from fighting the inevitable. Now let me give you 3 practical techniques to master this principle, starting with the most immediately useful. When stress hits, pause for exactly 3 seconds and ask yourself, is this within my control or not? If it's not in your control, consciously redirect your energy away from it. If it is in your control, take immediate action. This simple pause creates what Viktor Frankl called the space between stimulus and response, the space where freedom lives. Most people react automatically to stress. This 3-second pause gives you the opportunity to respond consciously instead. Practice this consistently, and you'll be amazed how much mental energy you reclaim from unproductive worry. The second technique builds long-term discernment through daily reflection. Before bed, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I worry about today that was outside my control? Where did I focus my energy productively? How can I improve tomorrow? This isn't about self-judgment. It's about building awareness. Most people never examine how they allocate their mental energy. This daily practice develops what I call the mental muscle of discernment. Over time, you'll naturally begin to catch yourself before wasting energy on uncontrollable factors. This evening reflection becomes a form of mental training that strengthens your ability to apply the dichotomy of control automatically. The third technique provides visual clarity about where you're investing your mental energy. Draw 2 circles on a piece of paper. Label one "My Control" and the other "Not My Control." Now list all your current worries, concerns, and stressors in the appropriate circle. You'll likely be shocked by what you discover. Most people find that they're spending enormous amounts of mental energy in the "Not My Control" circle. This visual exercise makes the misallocation of energy obvious and helps you redirect focus toward productive areas. Keep this as a reference and update it regularly. It's a powerful tool for maintaining mental clarity about what deserves your attention. You might wonder whether this ancient philosophy actually works in our modern world. The scientific evidence is compelling. Stanford University studies show that people who practice control-focused thinking experience a 30% reduction in stress hormones, a 40% decrease in anxiety and depression, and a 25% improvement in overall life satisfaction. They also demonstrate significantly better decision-making under pressure. Here's what's fascinating. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy uses these exact same principles. The Stoics were essentially doing evidence-based psychology 2,000 years before we had the neuroscience to prove why it works. What they understood intuitively, we can now measure neurologically. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your brain literally rewires itself for greater resilience and happiness. Here's your challenge for the next 7 days, designed to embed this principle into your daily life. Every single time you feel stressed, angry, or anxious, ask the Epictetus question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, practice consciously letting go. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means redirecting your energy where it can actually make a difference. If the answer is yes, take immediate action instead of continuing to worry. Track your experiences. Notice how this simple question changes your emotional responses and decision-making patterns. This isn't about eliminating all stress. It's about ensuring that your stress is productive rather than destructive, focused on areas where you can actually create change. Modern neuroscience has validated what Epictetus knew through experience. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your brain literally rewires itself for resilience and happiness. This isn't just philosophy. It's practical neuroscience applied to daily living. 2,000 years ago, a slave discovered the secret to true freedom, not freedom from external circumstances, but freedom from the mental suffering that comes from fighting reality. Today, you have the opportunity to claim that same freedom for yourself. The tools are simple. The science is clear. The only question is whether you'll choose to use them. Your transformation begins with your next choice. Implement the 3-second reset immediately. Practice evening reflection tonight. Share this wisdom with someone who needs it. This presentation is just the beginning. In upcoming content, we'll explore Marcus Aurelius's leadership lessons, Seneca's approach to time management, and advanced techniques for building unshakable mental resilience. But don't wait for more information. You have everything you need to start changing your life right now. The question isn't whether this works. The science proves it does. The question is whether you'll choose to apply it. Your future self is waiting for your decision. Confident and authoritative tone. Natural pacing with emphasis on key points. Professional but accessible language. Individual empowerment focus. Allow 2 to 3 seconds for text to appear before speaking. Pause briefly at transition points. Emphasize key statistics and quotes. Maintain steady pacing for clarity. Minimal professional background music. Lower volume during narration. Inspiring crescendo during call to action. Clean audio for global accessibility.